Makudire, and we're still doing our rolling coverage on the Israeli-US war on Iran, and we're also focusing on Lebanon, and this is where we're going to be taking this next story because the war is evolving. It has entered a deeply volatile new phase. I'm sure you know by now a 2-week ceasefire brokered at the last minute to avert what we think would have been a major US escalation is already under severe strain. And what's really concerning for me is the fact that there's conflicting interpretations. We're seeing continued Israeli strikes in Lebanon, which have been deadly, especially in the last 48 hours. And the renewed tensions around the Strait of Hormuz. Iran said they would close the Strait of Hormuz if Lebanon continues to be closed. And crucially, Washington and Tel Aviv insist the truce rather applies only to Iran. And Israel argues that well, rather, Iran argues that it should be extended across the region, including Lebanon. And that disagreement is now playing out in real time on the field. And within hours of that ceasefire announcement, Israel launched some of the heaviest strikes yet on Lebanon, killing scores of people and displacing civilians, while Iran responded by tightening control over the Strait of Hormuz, a move with immediate global energy implications all over the world. We are now feeling it. So, are we witnessing a ceasefire or an early collapse of one? We're going to be unpack all of this, and we'll be joined by Beirut-based analyst Salam El-Zaatari. Brother Salam, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to News and Views.
Salam.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear, and I think we'll jump right into it. If you can just give us a sense of how Lebanon is like right now. Beirut, there were reports that there were some of the heaviest strikes that we've seen in Lebanon since this war started by Israel, and the attacks are no longer in the southern region of Lebanon, but they're now into the
Into the
cities.
city itself, into the capital.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. Can you give us more insight on that?
Yesterday, actually, it was very sad and dangerous. 50 airplanes did 100 targets within 10 minutes with 160 bombs. They bombed the capital uh, because they did not bomb Dahi or the suburbs where usually Hezbollah is located. They bombed the heart of the capital, Beirut, the heart of the city, and it was a massacre. So far, until yesterday, it was between 112 and 180 dead, just yesterday, with 700 casualties injured. 700 injured and more than 200 killed. Yesterday was horrible for Lebanon, for Beirut. The people here are really shocked. I mean, we are all expecting an escalation, but yesterday it came a bit of a shock, especially when we saw the toll of death and casualties. I think everyone thought that this is because of a ceasefire agreement will happen soon, but we've also known that Israel doesn't want Lebanon to be included in the agreement with Iran. And Iran is trying to put Lebanon in the agreement with the ceasefire. This misunderstanding that Vice President J.D. Vance spoke about is actually a bit of a turning point, because here's the question: will Iran keep? Because yesterday they kept Hormuz closed, but would they actually like deny the whole agreement just because of Hezbollah or Lebanon? That was the real question. Or would they escalate back again with the United States? Until now, we don't have an answer, but what we have known now that Israel is committed to the operations in Lebanon, and despite that they are pulling out of Iran.
Mhm.
So they are separating the two fronts.
Mm, mm. I want to touch on, I think, what you mentioned because it was very, very important. The fact that there appears to be a fundamental disagreement between the United States of America and Israel and Iran in itself, because the USA says Lebanon is excluded from the ceasefire. Iran is also Israel is also saying the same thing, but the Iranian government says there wouldn't be a ceasefire without a ceasefire in Lebanon. How is this interpreted in Lebanon? How are officials interpreting this
Uh,
this confusing turn of
when,
events that we're witnessing?
when this thing happened, refugees actually were very positive that they could go back with the ceasefire, go back to their homes. Although up to 9 kilometers in the south of Lebanon is occupied now by Israel. So,
Mm,
but they thought that they could go back to certain areas. Hezbollah issued a warning that telling every refugees that do not go back home. This is not over yet. Uh, and with Hezbollah supporters here, they're saying that Iran is taking a stance with us. You have to bear in mind here that the country is divided.
mm,
More than like a lot of people do not support Hezbollah, but they also do not support Israel as well. They're stuck in the middle. And there's, of course, a big base for Hezbollah, supporters base
mm,
as well. But here is very conflicted internally. But some people are betting that Iran would drop it, would drop that agreement, and would sold out Hezbollah because of the new agreement. And some are not. Some are saying no, Iran will stick and will include Lebanon at any cost. This is the
mm,
question now. This is what we're waiting for. What would Iran do? Uh, is it worth it? Would it save its own people and its country and drop Hezbollah and the proxy or not? That's the big question that no one has an answer now until we see the negotiations and what's going to happen
mm.
with the team of Vice President J.D. Vance
Mm,
and
mm.
the
Are
Iranians.
they are there those fears? Are they genuine? The fears that Iran could potentially drop, Lebanon in its negotiations, focus more on self-preservation. Also, the pressure that comes with closing the
It
Strait of
is only
Hormuz, the
logical.
impact it has on the economy.
Yeah, it is only logical. Iran has lost in this war up to $566 billion. It needs up to $600 billion for reconstruction. And Lebanon is such a tiny country, so basically, probably part of that budget is $10 billion. But we're not expecting Iran to help even its own proxies because there's no more money, there's no more support system, there's no uh, leadership or command center, a clear command center, or who's giving the orders from the IRGC. So it's a bit confusing. And people do expect that the Iranians will save their country and their people before Hezbollah. Uh,
Mm,
there was a growing resentment sentiment here since the last war from the Lebanese people towards Hezbollah, even from some of their supporters, because you have to bear in mind it's been since the October 2019 till now. Lebanon has not seen a day in the sun. He has not. We were not rested. We were hit by an economic collapse, the second biggest in the history, a huge bomb at the port, which is the second also biggest in history, non-nuclear. And then we had this economic collapse. We had a revolution that went nowhere, and then the money is worthless. Everything. And then two wars. So people are exhausted, and they just want a solution. And then
mm,
when Hezbollah went into the war. in the name of Khamenei and Iran. This pissed off a lot of people here.
Mm,
So when now Israel started bombing in the heart of the capital of Beirut, this is raising internal pressure between people, between citizens and between citizens themselves, because now everyone is suspicious of its neighbor to be Hezbollah or to be affiliated. This will is creating actually a very negative sense.
Very, very concerning indeed. Plus, Salam, I'm not sure if you can hear me because I just lost your picture there. But in wrapping up, what would you say are some of the key indicators that the rest of the world should be watching over the next 24 hours? And what would they signal, those key indicators? All right, we seem to have lost Salam there, but yeah, very, very concerning picture that he's painting. I think in the last 24 hours, we saw some of the heaviest strikes on Lebanon, and it will be very,
Yeah,
very
sorry.
interesting. Oh, you're back. Yes. Just in closing,
Can
because
you hear
we were
me?
about. Yes, yes, I can hear you. We're about to wrap up now. I just want to ask you,
I
from
can't
your
hear you.
end, can you hear me now? Brother Salam, can you hear me?
Um,
All
I'm
right.
sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me? All right, he can't hear me, and I think we're about to wrap up anyway because we've run out of time. But it's going to be interesting. What's going to be happening in the next 24 hours? I wanted to find out what would be some of the key indicators that the world should be looking or watching over in the next 24 hours that would maybe signal, I don't know, a collapse or a containment of some sort, and what the ceasefire could ultimately represent. But yeah, I think we'll pick up that conversation another day. We're going to leave it here for now.
Okay.